Good day, everybody. What are we? 9:15 or a little bit later. And in Tasmania, it's the 28th on Thursday. So we've passed the 27th. I think that was a watch period of time for some people. And in fact, we've passed it both by sunset and now 18 minutes past via midnight in Israel. So we are on the 28th in Israel, regardless of how you look at it, sunset or midnight. I noticed Mark Allison has just done a video. He's now saying that we have to be out of here by April 2024. And he's lining it up with some verses from Matthew to do with the men of Nineveh and stuff. I just can't do that anymore. I seriously cannot do this. Past 2023, where we've been doing this since 2017. Basically, we've scoured the Bible, every verse, including these same ones, Matthew 12, 41, etc. We've applied them to places in the timeline, or we've used them for foreshadowings, etc., etc. And I think, honestly, we've done it to death. I know Rupo Man now is looking at the 30th and the 31st, and I am also, but for no real biblical reasons other than the maths told me that we were going in 2023 by the Gregorian calendar, not by the Jewish New Year. And 30 and 31, well, that's the end of this year, isn't it? So they're the days I'm looking at, simply because, I don't see the math lining up past now. Past 2023, and whilst some channels may get revelation, etc., and we may reevaluate things into 2024, right at this point in time, I just do not see how we can. The next thing we'll be looking at, I guess, will be other events on the timeline that begin to fall on Jewish day, feasts, etc. But we've done all this. We did this last year and the year before and the year before that and the year before that. 7 days Noah sat at the ark door. The amount of time that the ark was in the water until it touched down on land again. The periods of time where, a dove and a raven, Noah sent them out before they came back with, the dove came back with an olive branch. I think it was an olive branch, wasn't it? Yeah. Anyway, we've basically scoured every single inch of the Bible and applied all of those situations, etc., to the timeline, and so far we've come up blank. Now, we definitely have to be in the season. We see all the other things that we're meant to see, the increase in earthquakes and volcanoes, the changes in the weather. We've seen signs in the heavens, although that is a very much an umbrella term. So that can mean many things, but we've definitely seen what we looked at last month and the month before, etc., in Virgo. And I know Patrick at Owly Watch is still pulling things out of Virgo and Stellarium, but to me, right at this point in time, they don't mean much. I think the majority, that main sign, was over when we had the moon at her feet, etc. And I think that was just a reminder or perhaps a marker from the 2017 sign in the heavens, the Revelation sign, but it's hard to know because you see, every year we can go through this same process again of laying things, and then we come to the end of the year and we can simply repeat it again. But as I look out the window, I see a great big chemtrail, great. But, that can't go on for infinitum. And we had some pretty big channels like Cool Cat, etc., naming some pretty significant dates with 100% guarantees. And whilst I'm not having a go at Cool Cat at all for doing that, what I'm saying is we were about as certain as you could possibly be. How much more certain about things can we be coming around next year or the year after or the year after? If we believe we're 100% certain now, and we've been through a lot of verses and a lot of foreshadowings and a lot of books, Old and New Testament, yet still we're not there. I'm still holding hope for the end of this year. But if we move into 2024, that is 100% unknown territory for me, other than, as I've mentioned in previous videos, March the 16th or 17th may be significant. But we don't know. We don't know what calendar we're using. We don't know anything really. Because let's face it, we're still here. We know we're in the season. We can see the signs in Israel, and we can see the signs worldwide. But this rapture day, are we going to be able to nail it down? And past 2024, whilst I will continue to report and make videos and watch, etc., past 2024, I'll just be hearing the same arguments and verses and reasons over and over again that we have done for the last few years, quite a few years. But the math to me won't add up anymore. So for me to make comments with any videos with any kind of informative information, I'd have to be parroting that from somewhere else, because to be honest with you, the math ends here for me. And you can't dispute the formation of Israel. We can't dispute the generation of time, 80 years. We can't dispute the 7-year tribulation. Well, plenty do. They go mid and post. But I'm not with that at all. So I don't know where we'd be in 2024, to be honest. And whilst, like I said, I'll keep watching and looking, I will be very surprised if we get to that point. However, I'm noticing a lot of channels now, they've jumped from now, this period in December, right through to like Mark in April 24. I watched another one earlier on. Now let's see if I can find that in my history. It was this. It may play briefly when I bring this up, but I'll try and stop it straight away, so it may overpower my voice for a sec. Right, so stupid ad. Anyway, 2024, The Year of Signs, Miracles and Wonders by Troy Brewer. There was some interesting information in there, but once again, we're looking again into next year. And I can remember doing that in 2022, looking into 23, and 21, looking into 22, 2020, looking into 2021. This all started back in, I believed end times Bible prophecy when I was first saved, but my actual hardcore watching didn't start until 2019. I had a little bit of a stint in the early 90s when I first got saved, where I was watching a New Zealand pastor called Barry Smith, and he put out a series of books called Eye in the Triangle, and all these. They were fantastic. So I had a bit of a look at it then, but and for a period of time he believed we were going to go back then. But he was basing it on a biblical generation being 40 years, not 80. And I don't remember him mentioning anything much about the 7-year tribulation, etc. He was more looking for, barcodes and things like that we know have since then developed considerably. We're at the point now with digital currency clearly where we could instigate the mark of the beast without a problem, and they could link that to vaccine status and carbon credits and social credit score systems and all sorts of things to have an all-in-one package. So whilst they say the mark of the beast digital currency, I think it'll be broader than that. Digital currency will be the control point, so if you don't comply with all these other things, your money gets cut off. But I think it'll be an in situ type situation, all of them working together to ensure total control, if you know what I mean. And the end point of that being you can't access your funds unless all the other tick boxes have been checked and excuse me, and so on. Just having my morning coffee. I've been up for hours, but as Aaron would say, praise the Lord. Still love you, brother, Aaron. Still love you, cool cat. Doesn't matter what's going on. Just let's just all be nice and build each other up. We become accountable one to another for our sins when we exist in a state of love. So I'm much more easily able to take rebuke and teaching from somebody who I know loves me and has my interests at heart, etc. So I think the thing that we did wrong with all our pointing out of sins, etc., and we all have them, believe me, and everybody that pointed out somebody else's sin has got probably a cup overflowing worth of sin themselves. But I think the thing we did wrong, we didn't do it in a loving way like the Bible says we should, as brothers and sisters. We did it in a very judgmental, neighbour down the road type way. We're supposed to be brothers and sisters, not neighbours or acquaintances, etc. So we need to treat each other in that regard. And I know we can be hard on our siblings sometimes in our family, perhaps even harder on them than we would be the neighbour down the road, but ultimately we need to exist in love. We have got so many negative things in the world at the moment, not to mention the fact that we're still here. And I just can't work out why we are. I honestly thought we would have been gone by now. And it doesn't matter how many subscribers you've got, how big your channel is, how long your lives go for, how charismatic you are, how whatever you are. All of us have got it wrong. And I guess that brings about a sort of a little bit of a depression type feeling, or it does for me, because I just want to be out of here, and I've put so much of my life on hold to the point where I'm not even sure that I can restart it again in any productive way. So for what I'm saying is, for example, and I do not believe this at all, but say, for example, the rapture wasn't for another 10 years. Well, I've shut things down in anticipation of this event to the point whereby I kind of can't get life going again. And that's not a good position to be in. You know, looking at caravanning it or motorhoming it, you know, for the rest of your life, etc. I don't know, but I mean, I have faith, and I'm living by faith every day. I have been for a long time, particularly financially, and I do not have people supporting me at all, as in, I think Cool Cat mentioned one time that he had somebody prepared to support him for a full 12 months, you know, with a wage, etc. And, well, I don't have any of those luxuries, believe me. So it's difficult to know what to do at this point for me, because I don't necessarily know how to restart my life, given the fact that I don't know how much longer of it I've got to live. Biblically, as far as the rapture goes. And I don't want to fall back into the world. I don't want to fall back into that rat race again, where it's all, you know, live to work, not work to live sort of thing. That's horrific. Look, that's where the world's got us, though, really. It's got us to a point whereby, you know, both couples, if you're married, nearly have to work, and you've got to do it, you know, 5-6 days a week, and you get minimal holidays, and the joy is gone from life just through chasing the buck, and I'm sick of that. But I'm also sick of being poor as well, and barely being able to feed myself. That isn't much fun either. So yeah, I've got a lot riding on the rapture. I've got a lot riding on it for physical, normal reasons that we all have down here on earth. And spiritual reasons also, of course, primarily. I hate this sin battle that I have. I hate being able to do nasty things. I hate having a bad temper. All these things, I hate them. I hate the fact that I'm not continually kind and loving in my life. That's how I want to be, just to everybody, all the time. But simple things will make me blow me stack or whatever. So I went out yesterday to try and get a little bit of respite from this sort of mental state that I'm in. Thought I'd do a little bit of metal detecting on the beach. So I come home, I left my dogs inside, and there was a mess of some smelly, horrible substance all over the carpet everywhere, and I blew my stack. 2 hours that I left the house for. I haven't been away for ages. Cursing and swearing under my breath and so on, and hating this dog of mine, which I really love. She's almost gone now anyway. She's about 20 years old and blind, and has diabetes and can't walk properly. But the long and the short of the story is, briefly, I got angry. And then I feel terrible about getting angry, because it's not a good Christian mindset, is it? So the Holy Spirit prompts me about blowing my stack. There's nobody here, I live alone. And then you go through the internal flesh-spirit battle, which is daily for me, and I hate it. I just totally hate it. I think it was Paul that said, I do the things I don't want to do, and I don't do the things I do want to do. What a wretched man I am. That battle, it's that very battle. It's horrific. And ultimately, that's the thing. I'm just watching wallabies running around my yard everywhere, so I'm thinking the dog has cornered a few. I'll have to call this quits in a second and go out and get onto him. He's my second boy. He's a pit bull, and he does wreak havoc with the wildlife if I'm not careful. But it's that battle that I'm talking about. Just not feeling good about yourself, and I don't mean in a Pharisee type way where you blow yourself up and look how great I am and etc. etc. But just feeling good about yourself, knowing that you're not offending God in the things that you're doing. They do not get you your salvation, not offending God, because we've all committed that one sin that already separated us. But it makes a big difference to your day to just be able to have the joy of, the joy of the Holy Spirit minus the internal flesh spirit battle. When that, on the occasions that does happen, it's bliss. And I think that bliss is a little bit of an example of what it'll be like when we're finally sin-free and in incorruptible bodies in heaven. Just total joy. No battle. No anything. No second-guessing yourself. Did I say the right thing? Did I hurt that person's feelings? Should I have said that? Shouldn't I have said that? I have this ongoing thing with my ex-partner where, every now and then the texts will get nasty between each other. They'll say something that is not true. You respond in the wrong way. And ultimately, Satan wins. No love comes out of any of these sorts of situations. I'm just ready to go. I've had a crack at this world. I've messed it up to the point where I just don't want it anymore. When sometimes you get a toy when you're a kid, or maybe even a car when you're a little bit older, and it's perfect, beautiful, you love it, you play with it, and then all of a sudden it gets worn out, you back it into a fence, you scratch it, this, that, and the other happens. You just don't really want it anymore, You've had your time with it. You either want your new car or you just want to flog that one off and make a few bucks, whatever, or your new toy. That's how I'm like with the world and my life right now. And it's not going to change. There is nothing now at this point in time, knowing what I know and seeing what I've seen, that is going to give me a different outlook on the future. I'm done with this busted ass car that I'm driving around in, which is me, my body. It's messed up. It's backed into too many fences, and I'm ready to get rid of it. For the new upgraded hotness model, the one that can't be scratched, can't be broken, won't wear out. You don't have to put petrol in it. Of course, I'm using a stupid mechanical analogy here, but you know what I mean? I just want to have a right spirit and a new body. And planning 2024 or planning to try and restart a life again, etc., that just does not factor into where I want to be. And I know so many of you are in that situation too right now. So I just want to come on and encourage you to just pray and hope that we are found worthy when Jesus returns, and that is this year still. I have no revelation to give you. I have no numbers, timelines, verses. I'll defer to Mike, Repo Man at the moment, regarding December 30 and 31, mainly because that's where the math ends for me. I know he made correlations between Lazarus and the 4 days, etc., and assigned, the bride and the saint or something like that based on some of that. And he was also looking into those 2 days where Jesus was at different people's homes, but it appears that the same sequence of events sort of happened. One was Lazarus's house, and one was Simon's house, I think it was. So I'm interested to see if Repo Man's pulled any more from that study. But once again, that was still pointing to the end of this year. I can't do the 2024 April thing that Mark Allison's doing because I've seen so many of these dates based on, so-called iPet goat and this, that and the other. And I've heard the line so many times now. Now that's the date that I'm watching. That's my date. But it's said in such a final way so that when it's said again, when the date passes and it's said again, it becomes annoying almost. Like, hang on a minute, can't you rephrase this some other way? Because we've had so many of those, and that's my date. I've set them myself. I set watch periods and times where I think they're high watches, and we should be looking at it based on biblical stuff. But the last really good one that stood out for me was Ezra, and we've been through that. We've been right through that. That was last month, so I do not know. What was it, the 20th of the 9th month, and we're in the Jewish 10th month now, but here we are on Gregorian, Jewish, Julian, Torah calendars. Dr. Chris Zimmerman, he even jumps on Mayan stuff. Varying people have used Mayans and seasons and gates and doorways and all sorts of things, like stuff that I can't even find in the Bible. I'm sure there are references to these sorts of things, but like it's such obscure stuff that we've basically covered everything, is what I'm saying. So all I can say is let's keep watching. I had a feeling, I got a comment, and I think I mentioned this in my last video. I got a comment some time ago from a lady, and she commented on one of my channels, and she just continually said, it's New Year's Eve 2023. And I challenged her in the comments many times, where's your evidence? Why are you saying this? And I don't think she ever provided me with much scripturally. There may be some very loose verses that I thought were very loose, but it was more she was saying that that's what the Spirit was telling her. I can remember when I replied, I can remember my thoughts and feelings, and there's another battle with sin. I can remember thinking, another one of those Fruit Loop people who, looks at a shopping docket and gets a day off it. But wouldn't it be just like God that he was speaking to that lady who I can't even remember through the Spirit, and that we do go on New Year's Eve. That'd be a good lesson for me, because I was a bit proud and, standing firm on all these verses, etc., that we've all been studying, and quoting things that I've found and mentioning things that Repo Man had found and Will had found at Worship and Watch, and Wayne at Where the Overcomers, and all these sorts of things. Well, it looks like I'm going to go flat in a minute. But ultimately, wouldn't it be just like God to prove us all wrong with something like that? However, I just do not know. I'm hoping we hear from Kelly and Mike and some of the other channels. We haven't heard from a few channels now for a few days. And I don't mean hear from them with regard to tickling our ears. I mean, what do they think? What are they feeling? I mean, I always come on when a date passes that I've thought was a high watch date, simply so that I can say, well, looks like I got it wrong. So I'm just interested to know where their thoughts are. Yeah, I mean, videos don't need to be long. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Hey guys, it's the 28th. I'm not too sure what's happening at the moment. I'm studying this. I'll get back to you. Just keeps everybody encouraged, and that's part of the watching process. I guess we shouldn't really go completely silent when dates pass, because we can always come on and simply say, well, I'm not sure why this date's passed. I'm going to have to do a bit more study. But anyway, I just want to say that. I mean, I haven't really told you anything. I just sat here and waffled. But, I know there are a lot of channels now looking at, as I scroll through my feed, you'll see varying things come up on here, like gold detecting and all sorts of stuff. But Canadian Prepper, he put one out 4 hours ago. Something strange is happening. I haven't watched that yet, but I watch Canadian Prepper a lot, and all of his headlines lead you to believe that World War III is going to happen in 5 minutes' time. So when it's like the boy who cried wolf, I kind of get there's a bit overkill with all the dramatic headlines, alert, alert, alert kind of thing, and then really there was no massive alert or nothing happened. So, yeah, reading headlines can sometimes be a little bit deceptive. You have to go in and watch the actual video. Watchwoman 65, Lisa, she put out something recently by the look of it, 6 hours ago. I have to get up. I find a lot of things happen overnight for me in Australia. I go to bed and there's not much going on. I get up in the morning and there's a lot. Steve Poplar at Poplar Report, he often comes up with some interesting information. It was 2 hours ago, something about Iranian missiles. Most accurate prophecy of 2023, what's coming? I read things like that and I think to myself, oh boy, here we go. We're going to go through the whole 2024 process that we've just been through for 2023 again. Donut, he's pointing out his 2024 rituals already. And we've got the 7 secrets to unlock 2024. You see what I mean? We can't just do this infinitum. Everybody is now just going, yeah, that's it, 2024. And we'll go through the very same reasons that we did last year. We'll go through the same feasts. We'll go through all the same logic associated with the Jubilee and all these sorts of things. Excuse me. So I'm not too sure exactly where we're meant to be looking right now. I mean, both Repo Man and Kelly believe that the rapture is an appointed day, okay? And I believe that too. I mean, from God's perspective, being outside of time, he knows when it's going to happen. So, of course, it's an appointed day because he's already seen it happen. But from our perspective, it's not, in so much as we haven't seen it happen outside of time. We don't know when it's going to happen, so we're just watching and waiting for it to happen. It still may be an appointed time, but it mightn't be one that we can nut out that easily. And I know Chris, is it Chris over at Global Rapture Watchers? He switched there some months ago from, it definitively being, I think it'll be this time of date or that date or this is pointing to it, to now I haven't watched him for a few weeks. Last time I watched him, he was saying, look, I'm sort of not looking at timelines and things anymore. I'm just watching Israel, and it's all going to be based on what happens there. And then I heard other people say, no, that's not right because that's not an appointed time. That's man controlling when it happens. But it isn't really, because we're in time and God was outside of time. So it still could all be based on what we see occurring in Israel, us saying, no, that's not allowing it to be an appointed time, but in reality it still is. See, this time, inside of, outside of time thing is very difficult to get your head around. I've tried to do it a few times. So am I saying now that I'm looking more for world signs than events on timelines that you would call, therefore, an appointed time that you can nut out? And I guess I kind of am. I don't want to be, but I don't know how much longer we can go through these same mathematical processes and timelines, etc., to the point where we say, hey, we're just going to have to look for the destruction of Damascus. That's what we've got to wait for, if you get what I mean. Now, the destruction of Damascus is clearly an appointed thing on God's calendar, but we don't know when it's going to happen. We can't nut it out via the calendar, therefore it's an unknown day. We definitely know it's going to happen. So is the rapture going to be something like that? We're going to need to see one of these big events happen, and we're not actually going to be able to nail it down onto the timeline. I'd like to think no, but I'm sort of still 60-40 no. But, I used to be like 80-20 and 60-40. Maybe we're just looking for an event now in Israel to tie this all together. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. I'm basically coming on because I haven't been on for a few days and I don't want to remain quiet like a lot of channels do. I want to give you encouragement to continue to look up. 2023 isn't up yet. And we could still be going at any moment. Things are still escalating every day. I mean, we have that Russian ship blown up now. Part of the, I think it's the Red Sea Fleet. Things are definitely moving along. And we know that these things don't just suddenly stop or go backwards. All these countries just don't suddenly say, right, it's 12 o'clock, time to clock out and go home, and that's it. The shift's over. They're done. Too much money's been thrown into this. This is going to continue to move forward, and we know it will. We know the WEF and all these Klaus Schwab type people. They're multiple lettered organisations like CIA, FBI, all of them, plus all the new agey ones like Klaus Schwab and his minions, and that Noah Yuval Harari or whatever his name is. I mean, that guy's Satan in a horrible, skinny, skeletonized looking Mr. Burns body from The Simpsons. That's who he reminds me of, Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. You put 20 years on that guy and you got Mr. Burns there, a lookalike. What an evil man, the things that he says. I watched a video clip the other night, which was a summary of some of his sort of very anti-God statements. And he basically said, look, chimpanzees are smarter than people because they're smart enough not to believe in a stupid concept like God. He said you can't con a chimpanzee out of bananas by promising him more bananas in an afterlife, but you can a human. You know, this guy, he's Satan wrapped up in skin. The spirit of the Antichrist, anyway. But anyway, the world is getting more and more evil by the day. The signs are becoming more and more prevalent and prominent. I don't know where we are on timelines and dates, so I can't nut any of it out at the moment. So I just encourage you to know that it is by the blood of Jesus and his blood alone. He was the only person to ever not fall prey to that flesh-spirit battle that I mentioned during this video. He was perfect the whole time. He did not sin. Therefore, he is the only possible chance of us getting into heaven. There is no other possibility. It's that simple. Confess him as God himself. Believe that he rose from the dead on the third day willingly to defeat sin so that we can be reconciled with our Father. It is all his works, not ours, not one little bit. God bless. I'm sorry I haven't got the comments. Like I said, things are tough. And my mental energies at the moment are very, very low. It's now 10 a.m. in Tasmania. I'm going to call it quits. God bless everybody. Keep looking up. Pray for me. Pray for each other. Like, share, subscribe. Most of all, live in love at this last moment in time. I'm failing big time myself in worldly ways, not being loving. Starting to feel resentment for people that have done bad things to me in my life and stuff like that. But that's all sort of an accumulation of wanting to go, the pressure of wanting to go, hating the battle of the flesh, and I guess it's almost us screaming out in anger at God to some degree. Well, what's going on? Why haven't we gone yet? You know? And the human frustrations that come along with being human and having those sorts of thoughts. But fortunately, we have somebody so much greater than us that did the work for us, and we need to put our faith and hope and trust in him and him alone. God bless. Catch you later.